Council regular meeting, 5:30 p.m. Monday, June 23rd, 2025, City Hall Council Chambers. Everybody rise, say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. You have an addition to our agenda tonight, which would fall under G2, designation of official city representative to Cuero, Texas for 2025 Turkey Fest and authorization for reimbursement of expenses.
Move to approve the addition of G2 and close the agenda.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to public hearing. A review of stormwater pollution prevention plan engineering. Motion to open hearing.
Motion.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Hearing presentation.
Good evening, Council. The first item is a public hearing for pollution prevention plan. The City of Worthington is regulated under Phase 2 of the Federal MS4 program and must comply with a statewide NPDES permit. This includes implementing a stormwater pollution prevention plan, SWIP, addressing 6 required control measures: public education and outreach, public involvement and participation, illicit discharge detection and elimination, construction site runoff control, post-construction stormwater management, and pollution prevention and good housekeeping. An annual public meeting is held to gather input on the SWIP, helping determine if revisions are needed. And here's a presentation I prepared. Yeah.
Was it?
Tell us a story.
Ooh, do you need a charger? Because I might have one that will work.
No, it's
No,
not a
it's
charger.
an update.
Well, it's in my head. So it's basically presentation goes through explaining how the MS4 permit goes through. It is required in the city of Worthington since we're a 10,000 plus population city. And whenever construction is more than 1 acre, it requires a permanent treatment plan, a BMP best management practice. And if it's less than 1 acre, it's required to have temporary, some type of construction treatment. And city is taking we have dedicated person, Dan Nivdahl, who goes on sites, going around the town and make sure those contractors having correct BMPs. Another important thing is that we, as a city, do a really good job of housekeeping. We do street sweeping all the time. With every construction, we requires a submittal of SWIP plan, which tells us how exactly they're gonna do the treatment, install BMPs, all that kind of stuff. In our city website, we have good information page to educate people and good information there. And we're always open to receive any comments from public if they see any concerns and worries about stormwater treatment or any dirty water runoff, then please call us or submit any note and comment, then we'll update our policy.
Is this just like for
construction, or is this overall? Like,
It's overall any type of, anything basically. One time we noticed one of the cleaning crew kind of spilling some water out of their van, and we happened to catch them and told them that's not allowed. They have to clean up all that kind of stuff. Anything that in the public right of way, including private construction as well, once the rain comes down, everything goes to the lake. So we just try to catch anything dirty before anything goes through the lake. That's the main purpose of all this pollution prevention plan.
as well as flooding too, or no?
No, flooding is a whole different monster to tackle there. Yep. And this presentation is basically to educate publics about all
Will it
this.
be available on the website since it wasn't here?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Just one more. Andy, can we suspend or just temporary table the open hearing until maybe later on in the agenda?
Or next time maybe?
Will it be done updating by the time you get around to your, the engineering
Sure, yep,
segment?
Yep, I'll try to fire up again, yep.
Okay.
Doable?
Okay, I would move that we suspend the public hearing until engineering business call it H1. Second.
Okay. We have a motion to suspend the open hearing, public hearing until
We have a motion in a second.
okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Onto the consent agenda. We have city council, regular council meeting minutes of June 9th, 2025. Planning commission meeting minutes of May 6th, 2025. Carroll Lake Watershed Board meeting minutes of May 21st, 2025. 2025 and 26 on sale liquor, wine, club, and Sunday on sale license renewals. Financial statements, municipal liquor store income statement for the period of January 1st, 2025 through May 31st, 2025. Olson Park statement of revenue and expenditures, budget and actual for the period of January 1st, 2025 through May 31st, 2025. Fieldhouse statement of revenue and expenditures, budget and actual for the period of January 1st, 2025 through May 31st, 2025, and bills payable.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. On to administration? No. Public safety.
Mayor, council. The Worthington Police Department received a $1,000 reward through the Walmart Smart Good Local Grant process. The funds will be contributed to a public safety equipment purchase. Adoption of a resolution shown as Exhibit 1 will allow Director of Public Safety Troy Apple to execute the grant. Council action is requested to adopt the resolution authorizing execution of the Smart Good Local Grant Agreement.
Comments? Very nice.
What do you plan on using it for?
The last couple of years, what we've been doing is equipping the squads with 40 caliber defensive, less lethal devices. So we will continue to equip the squads with that until we have all the squads taken care of.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
The Worthington Police Department officer position guidelines were reviewed and updated. Assignment details, job requirements, and other minor details were added, removed, or adjusted within the position guidelines for clarification and consistency. Exhibit 2 is a red line copy of the police officer position guidelines, which notes the proposed changes. Exhibit 3 is a copy of the proposed updated position guidelines for police officer. Staff recommends approval of the updated position guidelines.
three
Yes,
for this position.
a couple chiefs ago, yeah. And there were no significant
Material
changes.
changes.
I did some research, checked with other agencies similar in size, and we're very consistent with what they have in place.
I'd make a motion to approve the updated position guidelines.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Drew. Next item is municipal concurring resolution revising designation of county state aid highway number 25 within the corporate limits of Worthington. To avert potential delays in construction of East Flower Lane, the city administrator requested the Nobles County engineer and the board of commissioners to consider revoking segments of the roadways listed below as county state aid highway for the purpose of turning these segments over to the city of Worthington. These segments include Platts Avenue from Highway 60 to West Gateway Drive, West Gateway Drive from Platts Avenue to South Lake Street, and East Gateway Drive from South Lake Street to Trunk Highway 60. County state aid highways are subject to greater study and oversight by the Minnesota Department of Transportation regarding changes in access and speed limits than municipal roadways. These obligatory procedures may result in delays in East Flower Lane being granted access to County State Highway 25 at Platts Avenue, resulting in setbacks in the development of South Shore Apartments. These potential delays can be eliminated by turning the above roadways over to the city. Nobles County Board approved the request submitted to the Minnesota Commissioner of Transportation by resolution at their June 17th, 2025 meeting, subject to concurrence by the city. Council action is requested to approve turning the above roadways over to the city and approving the municipal concurring resolution included as Exhibit 1. This action is contingent on the council awarding the East Flower Lane construction contract later in tonight's agenda.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and seconded. Any further discussion?
I just have a question too.
Yes.
There's no fund, like no funds are exchanging, no money is being exchanged?
Not at this point, we haven't gotten to that discussion. The one benefit to the city funding wise is it would add to our state aid highway mileage within the city, so there would be more state aid highway funds that would be available to the city in the future. This, as I tried to put in my memo, the county would have to go through a number of steps to allow access to East Flower Lane on there, including a traffic study and things like that that could potentially cause delays. On approval tonight by the council, if you so choose, even though the actual turnback will take a number of weeks or months to go through the entire process, because we'll have to annex the roadway back into the city. The county board had, and the county engineer both said that we could move forward with the roadway construction prior to all the finalization, knowing that the city council and the county commissioners are in favor of pursuing this.
Anybody else? Have a motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
Success?
Yes.
Are we going back to the public hearing?
I thought we were doing that other engineering, we have
Yep.
number two,
We got number two.
G2, yeah.
G2 addendum.
the addendum.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right, the addendum. I'm sorry. Designation of official city representative to Cuero, Texas for the 2025 Turkey Fest and authorization for reimbursement of expenses. Turkey Fest is scheduled for October 9th through 12th. Travel dates will be October 9th to Cuero and October 12th back to Worthington. Section 4.17 of the Worthington City Charter Historical Partnerships provides that the council may authorize expenditures for one or more designated city officials to serve as official City of Worthington representatives to Kreilsheim, Germany, Cuero, Texas, and any other such destination that may have a historical partnership significance to the city. Chad County has represented the city in Cuero in 2024. Council action is requested to designate an official representative to Cuero, Texas in October 25 and authorize reimbursement of their expenses. Looking back a handful of years at the representatives, the two existing elected officials that have not served as their representative are council members Kielbach and Weber. Everyone else has served at the representative seat at least once.
I'm busy that time of year, so I'll pass.
You, Chris.
You say no?
Yeah, I'm saying no.
Okay.
I'm unavailable.
I'm planning on going.
I am not.
You're not?
I'm not available that week.
So you're going?
Yes, either way.
Well, then, pay for this.
Okay.
The mayor.
We need a
Motion.
Motion.
I'll take a
Second.
vote.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Meeting next year.
Maybe.
Dude, the mayor, the mayor down there.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Back to my original council item. It's a public hearing for stormwater permit program. I'll talk about the NPDES program background and MS4 program. It is federal regulation for Clean Water Act. It's administrated by NPCA. The goal is to protect and improve surface water resources, maximum 5 years permit. Five-year permit term, and it's annual reporting and self-assessment. Initially used to control wastewater discharge, now includes stormwater discharge as well. MS4 permit. MS4 program is one of the three legs of the NPDES stormwater permit programs. First one is industrial permit, second one is construction stormwater permit, and third one is MS4 permit. Stands for Municipality Separate Storm Sewer System. It's a statewide general permit, applies to most permittees, requires development of stormwater pollution prevention plan. We call it SWEEP. There's two phases. Phase one is those larger cities, more than 100,000 population or more. Phase two is for mandatory MS4s for organized areas. And City of Worthington falls under designated MS4, which is more than 10,000 population city. SWIP has 6 minimum control measures. One of them is best management practices. We call BMP for short term, which is measurable goals. City SWIP consistent of required BMPs established by NPCA. We have total of 38 BMPs, and 36 out of them are required by the permit. The other two are things that city is already doing, like stormwater, utility, and street sweeping. And this is the form that we use to evaluate and just make little notes, and this is the form. These are the highlights that we do every year. We do public education and information materials available on the website. And we do keep up with the maintained storm system map and adapted, updated stormwater ordinances, erosion and sediment controls, and prohibit illicit discharges. And we always inspect the city storm system infrastructure. And this is what we post and send out to public every year. And these are example of a mapping that we keep up with it too. These pipes are stormwater pipes and outlet structures and inlet structures that we have. This is what I talked about a little before, after the system shut down. For small sites, less than 1 acre, they do temporary stormwater control, and more than 1 acre of disturbance, we do require permanent PMPs. And we do inspect a lot of outlets and basins. There are 122 outlets mapped, and there is 8 wet basins and 1 dry basin. And we're planning to have adding 1 more wet basins with East Flower Lane project. There's a stormwater pond we're constructing. And there's 5 separators and 1 skimmer. And that's it. For the public, if anyone has any concerns and comments, please just call the engineering department or send a letter or anything. Then we update our policies and update ordinances. That's very important to keep the lake and any surface water clean.
Is this something that we get rated on as far as?
No, it's more of a, within the city, we just keep up with. We are the enforcer, the city itself, and we just try to be clean ourselves.
So in the very beginning, one of the reasons or goals was it to protect surface water? How do we know we're doing that? Is there some type of measure for that, or is it we're just doing all these preventative deals?
Correct.
And there's really no.
There's no measurements that we can prove
Okay.
that we're doing it or bad deal. But what we usually do is, for example, at East Flower Lane, where the new road we're building, all the surface water will go to that pond first to filtrate any contamination or little fines. Then it discharges to the ditch system. So in that system, we know that runoff water will be filtered once before it's going to be discharged to natural water resources. But there's no numbers that you can see from a report wise. Like, no one does like a scientific measurement.
Okay.
Does it help probably with cleaning out some of the sewer systems that, you know, that it drains into these ponds more so than other places and gets clogged up?
Correct. Yep.
Is there a deadline to the comment period, or is this ongoing year-round?
It's ongoing, and every year we just this is kind of a reminder and educational purpose. So we're open any 24/7, 365.
Okay.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a
Do
second.
we ask for testimony?
Do we have any additional testimony? Okay. So we have a motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. We need to action on the hearing.
There's no action.
Okay.
My second item is to award the contract for East Flower Lane Extension. The bid opening for the 2025 East Flower Lane Extension project was scheduled for Wednesday, June 18th, 2025 at 2 p.m. Bid result will be made public once the council awards the contract to the lowest responsible bidder. The lowest bid for the bituminous option submitted by Dunning was $1,358,427.05, which is approximately 32% below the engineer's estimate. The lowest bid for the concrete option submitted by Jerby Construction Inc. was $1,508,005.60, which is approximately 30% below the engineer's estimate. Staff recommends that the council award the contract to the lowest responsible bidder for the selected pavement option.
This road, will this also serve businesses and companies on the south side?
Correct. In the future, once it's.
In the future, once it could be developed, so it could be increased, a lot more increased truck traffic
Possible.
versus the apartments with just mostly cars and stuff.
Right.
So you're not recommended cement?
Well, the bituminous section is designed to handle the same amount of load. It's not like bituminous is any weaker than concrete. It's more of a life longevity.
Okay. So it's a longevity piece to this.
Then concrete will have less of a maintenance required throughout lifespan.
And what was the lifespan again on cement versus bituminous, approximately?
On the book, concrete is about 40 years and bituminous is about 20 years.
Yes.
Is this gonna be a 2-year phase where we do the dirt work this year and then either put bituminous or concrete on next spring?
Depends on which one we choose. We're planning on doing, if we're going with bituminous after all the underground utility work, we'll pave a first lift of bituminous and we'll come back next year, let everything settle, and then we'll finish the second lift the next year. With concrete, we're planning on paving everything this year and be done with it.
I think longevity wise, it makes sense to do concrete. I mean, right now it costs a little bit more, but over the course of the life of that road, it will cost the city a lot less and the people around it. If that's, we have to look more than just right now.
Yeah, unless we lock in prices, you know, when you come to put the final 2 inches on, it could actually be a little bit more money as well.
I agree with Amy here, you know, when you look at concrete's gonna last 40 years,
Yeah.
bituminous 20 years, the extra $150,000,
Yeah.
you're done with it.
I agree. I'm concrete. Mike?
This construction company on the cement side, I haven't heard of them before. Is it fairly new to the business?
No, I haven't heard them either, but I talked to other consultants too, and they're from Hutchinson, I believe, and sounds like they're a legitimate, good construction company, just like any others.
Steve?
They're a long-time contractor. They just haven't been down in this area.
Okay.
My very simple math calculation shows that the concrete option is less than what was the engineer's estimate for bituminous.
We're in budget, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I'll make a motion for the concrete option.
Second that.
Okay, there's a motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Mayor, council, up for your consideration here is the first reading of an ordinance to amend City Code Chapter 117 to establish a buffer between cannabis retail businesses. Earlier in 2025, City Council passed 2 ordinances establishing regulations and zoning requirements for cannabis businesses. As the State Office of Cannabis Management has begun moving applicants to a pre-approval status, the city has seen significant interest in retail businesses. Council opted to adopt a 200-foot buffer from schools, playgrounds, and athletic fields as recommended by staff. While this buffer protects nearby facilities regularly used by minors, it otherwise does not impact the total number or concentration of cannabis businesses. The city also opted not to limit the number of retail registrations, citing concerns with the fair process to choose applicants and other economic development goals. City staff has put together an ordinance for council's consideration that would establish a 1,000-foot buffer between retail cannabis businesses. This provides a method to potentially limit the number of cannabis businesses in the city without forcing a stricter selection process if the city limited the total number of registrations. This requirement may be amended later, but would be ineffective to try and apply after businesses are already established. By establishing a large buffer between cannabis businesses now, it would allow the city to better assess the impacts of the cannabis industry on the city in a more deliberate manner. Council consideration of the ordinance shown in Exhibit 1 is requested. If desired, council may pass a first reading of the ordinance. And Councilman Kilblock suggested we hear some opinions from law enforcement. So I do have Troy here if you want to say a few things about this one.
Before I speak, do you have any questions on it?
Not right off.
Okay. Having been in drug enforcement for more than half of my career, my suggestion is to limit this as much as possible. The more dispensaries we have available, the more cannabis there's going to be available. When there's more cannabis available, our youth is going to be using more than what they are now, just by virtue of it being available. And that, I don't think I have to tell you, leads to bad things. People under the influence of anything make poor decisions, and our jails are filled with those people. So I would suggest limiting this in any form or fashion that you can. I understand that our state is behind the legalization effort, but I think the city, to be responsible, should offer whatever limitations we can come up with.
I kind of like this idea too, because if you don't put a 1,000-foot buffer between these businesses, there could be a point where there's a whole bunch of them just congregated next to each other and downgrade that neighborhood or that business community even further. So I kind of like this idea of putting a buffer between them, so they're not being concentrated down the road.
Dennis?
We don't know how many people our dealer, our businesses are gonna apply. And I imagine these gotta be inspected to see if they're following all laws. Do you think this is gonna increase our number of officers we have on patrol?
That's possible. The difficulty with all of this is the state's position on anything related to cannabis charges, and then that added to the piece with what can we prosecute and what will the county attorney's office be willing to prosecute. So I'm not sure what teeth we're going to have to offer great enforcement, and that's one of the difficulties that Colorado has faced with all of this. If you want to learn what this can lead to, read about Colorado. Minnesota, for whatever reason, failed to research that, or at least take some of that as guidance. So if you want to educate yourselves, read up on how some of this has gone in Colorado. It hasn't been great.
So what are some of the things that they see in Colorado? Just a couple of them.
Very difficult to control anything related to what is going on with the dispensaries. It's difficult to control who owns them. There have been stories of some not so legit groups coming in and buying out what you would call legitimate owners, with some pretty sketchy circumstances behind that. And it just, like I said, it becomes overly available to everyone, which lends itself to more use by our youth, which just leads to any number of bad things.
Is there anything we can do at the city level to make sure the people who are requesting permits or whatever are legitimate and not sketchy type?
Yeah, I think we need to conduct thorough backgrounds to make sure that they are coming from a legitimate source and that they are responsible in their approach to this business.
hopefully they won't have people coming in and doing business as, as far as some of your older businesses in town that are grandfathered in, so they're under this, so they don't have to do a lot of renovating up there. The same thing could happen with this, where you've got a reputable person that got the license to begin with. Now all of a sudden you got somebody coming in, like you say, Colorado, where they bought this business and they're doing business as the same owner anyways, where you probably have to do extensive background checks with that. Chris?
I was just gonna say, with the background checks, because when we have background checks done for liquor licensing, they're just the Minnesota background checks. That's as extensive as it can get. So is that all we're gonna be able to do?
I'm not really certain, and I'm not sure that the state is really certain on most of what's gonna happen with this, because it's been a struggle to not only get all this stuff in place, but to staff the state positions that are gonna go along with this. So it's been a struggle to get the wheels in motion on this whole process.
Steve?
We don't know exactly where we're gonna be in the enforcement side, because they first have to apply to the state to get a license, which is beyond our control. We may only be limited to zoning laws. I don't know how much we can get into judging the background of people. And keep in mind, one of the preferred groups of people that can be awarded a cannabis license through the state of Minnesota are those that have been convicted of cannabis crimes in the past. That's in their own.
Who thought that was a good idea?
There's a whole group of people in St. Paul that are filled with wonderful ideas.
If the state approves it, they have to get a state license first, right?
Before they even come to us.
So we really don't have a say in it. If they get a state license, we can't really turn it down, can we?
We don't know exactly if we can, but we're limited on that. Beyond zoning and business regulations, I don't know how much enforcement we may have.
Yeah, it'll be down to conditional use permits and then the local registration, as they call it in statute, that you'll have to consider with each applicant. Yeah, like Steve said, we may or may not have grounds to really deny that based on the ownership, and it kind of is what it is there, but the purpose of the ordinance here really is to try to limit it and allow us maybe a little more time to assess the impacts. And I do want to be clear that this could have a great impact on the city. It could have almost no impact on the number of dispensaries. It depends on who gets site control and where. Obviously 1,000 foot's not covering all of the city, so you will still have a handful that could get site control here or there that manage to make it 1,000 foot or more away, but you also do have the option then of backtracking this at a later date if you think it's unnecessary a year or two from now. But to go back and wish you had done this, it would be really difficult to try to then rein that in later, so.
Chris?
I know on the surface, I think, it might look and sound a little bit odd to the public and those listening that because we didn't limit the overall numbers permitted within the city, as the goal was to, I'll basically have it be market driven. How many can make a go, would be able to make a go of it within the city. Part of the difficulty in that first stage, I think, is that if we did limit a number, what would the process be in determining who actually would be permitted? Which the difficulty in that is a whole nother level of complication and paperwork and local red tape, city red tape. We get enough of it, I think, through the state and the OCM, the Office of Cannabis Management, to use the term. It's been cloudy from them as far as any clarity that the city's able to get even when staff calls, emails, not getting an answer. I think this ordinance for right now is a good idea in that it allows us an easy step to slow down the system, because we don't entirely know the effect that it's going to have on our community. So, Mike.
This is probably not directly related to this ordinance, whether we pass it or not. But I was reading in that one of the concessions on the state budget was the state is going to claw back. There was supposed to be a cannabis funds coming back to the community. I don't know how much that was, or what we were going to use it for, if it was going to be for law enforcement. But anyway, they're clawing that money back to the state, taking it away, which I didn't think was right.
They raised the sales tax on cannabis products from 10% to 15%. And then they eliminated the somewhat universal fee funds that were gonna come back to the local counties, municipalities. So the only fee that we're authorized to collect would be the annual registration fee for business.
And we're limited on that.
And yes, the state has set maximum amounts that we can charge.
I'd make a motion to approve the first reading of this ordinance.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Chris?
Yeah, I just want to say, appreciate Director Apple's input and all the hard work that staff has done to try to find some clarity and direction as the city has to tackle this issue.
Chris? Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So on to committee reports. I have nothing.
I have no report that was not covered already.
Mike?
We had a CVB Marketing Committee meeting on Tuesday, June 10th. We approved a sponsorship for the annual EB Golf Tournament, which is put on every year. And all of the funds they make go back to youth golf in our community, so it was a good sponsorship. We approved the final auditorium package for the coming season. We also approved doing the hunting map brochure for Nobles County, which hopefully brings in people weekends down here or even during the week to do some pheasant hunting. So that was that for CBB. The HRA, we purchased two properties that are dilapidated. One is 1211 Virginia Avenue and one is 1203 Apple Avenue. With the help of staff, we'll probably first hire a contractor, begin a scope of work for each property, and then a plan to eventually resell. We will concentrate, each property will concentrate on livability and curb appeal. So these will be greatly improved properties within these neighborhoods and hopefully down the road spur more investment in these neighborhoods. So then we also had a presentation from Rebuilding Minnesota Together. It's a group that covers southwest Minnesota. They've been in Worthington for a long time, for about 5 years. They concentrate on helping people stay in their homes longer by doing ramps and hand guardrails, handrails in the homes. They also do projects for low income people here in town, so it could be siding, could be roofing, could be any number of things. And so we felt that their mission is a lot the same mission as the HRA. So we made a donation to them for their efforts for the coming years, so that's it.
Thank you. Chris?
I have no report.
Okay. Steve?
An update on, as you recall, paid leave is still scheduled to take effect on January 1st of 2026. And we have started our budgeting process, which means City Council needs to make a decision on the withholding split. It will be a payroll withholding tax. The most we can withhold, we can have a 50-50 split with the employees. Council could choose to pay the entire amount or have the employees pay at least at maximum 50%. So we're going to need a decision here in the coming couple of weeks so that we can continue with our budgeting process on this. We did get notified by the League of Minnesota Cities today. They've done some surveying, and I didn't get the number of respondents that they had, but all of them except one was doing the 50-50 split. The one that had not made a final decision on that was Carver County, and they are debating whether to do 75-25 or 50-50, but the majority, it sounds like, are splitting it 50-50 between the employer and the employee. So that decision is going to have to.
Do you have any idea the cost of it?
It is right now at 0.88% of total gross wages will be withheld. And that will go to a fund at the state that if you qualify to receive that, you apply through the state, and then you're paid directly out of this fund to the state, not by if an employee goes on paid leave, we no longer are paying them. They're getting their pay through the state, but that's all being funded by this paid leave withholding that's coming from every employer. So it will, their original estimates set it at 0.7%, but they've already changed that to 0.88, and it hasn't even started. It doesn't start for another 6 months. But so we can kind of fine tune our compensation budget. We'll need to.
What's the percentage of the levy or?
I'll have to get that number so I can go back. We put numbers together over a year ago, and I'm sure they're not relevant any longer. But I'll be able to put that. I think I'll probably put it in a case on it for the next council meeting. If I can put some estimates together so you have some actual numbers.
So that just goes in a general kitty then through the state?
Up to the state for paid family or paid medical leave. Yeah.
Lose it, you use it or lose it?
No, it just goes into a fund, and it either, they'll accept people to apply for it, and they'll be able to collect on it, and if their estimates are off once again, that withholding tax will be adjusted as this continues to go.
So just quickly, is it paid family leave for them to be on leave to help other members?
There's a whole host of reasons that you can be approved for. It can be medical leave for yourself if you have a medical problem, and then there's also the second arm of that is paid family leave. So if you have a family member that you need to stay home and help through a health event, or if you have a child, a newborn or an adoptee, you can stay home and bond. There are
It's 26 weeks, isn't it?
It's, they're, each of them paid medical and paid family are 12 weeks. Now you can combine, that's per year. You can combine them, but then the maximum you can take is 20 weeks in a, whatever we set our calendar year, or if the state has already determined that January 1st is the calendar year. So theoretically, someone could be away from work for up to a 20-week span.
Is that like a 60% payout or something like that?
Something like that. It's, and we've been submitting payroll data for, I think we began last July, so that everyone has a history of their payroll. So the recipients are, what they can receive in paid leave is based on their income history. That's all I have.
Okay. Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.